Hi everyone, today I'm going to make for you some banana pudding. I'm at my daughter's now. I was at my son's, now I'm at my daughter's. Still waiting for my son's baby to be born, my daughter-in-law's. So I'm getting ready to go on a camping trip with my one daughter who lives, excuse me, here next to my other daughter, in which they only live 2 or 3 hours from my son. So I've had one daughter request chicken and dumplings, and another has requested banana pudding. And my daughter from Mississippi is up here also. So that's what I'm going to be making. And so today we're going to get started on that. And if you hear any screaming, yelling, crying, don't worry about it. There's 5 children here, ages 6 and younger. So they may fight, they may run in and out of the house and start tattling, but hey, that's just reality, isn't it? So I'm going to bring you over so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna bring it down some. And I know some of you want measurements. So I've got some measuring cups out to try to measure as I go. So let me I'm gonna do what I normally do. I have a pan just like this at home. This is that old Guardian stuff from the, I think 1950s, maybe even made it for then. My husband found mine in a junk pile somewhere, and my daughter, she found this one at a thrift store here where she lives. And I've always made my pies and banana pudding, unless I'm making like a huge thing of banana pudding for church or something. I've always made them in this. So we'll get started. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I usually take a kind of a big spoon that like this, and I have one at home, and I just scoop me up some flour. So, and I just kind of level it where I think it looks right to me. And so I've got this cup measure here. It says 1/4 of a cup. So we're gonna put it in there and see what we have. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Scoop it up again. I guess because some's falling over. Okay, it looks like we're gonna have about 1/3 of a cup. This is a 1/4, and it's a little more than that. So you can say about 1/3. Now, you know, you can just tweak it the way you like it too. As I normally don't measure. So I have that. I think I'm gonna put just in a hair more. So that's probably about 1/3, I'd say. And the sugar, I usually put about 3 or 4 of these. I don't know, I just do it till it looks right. So let's kind of measure out some sugar. Let me get a bigger one, and we'll see about how much sugar we get. Usually it's going to be basically about double of the amount of flour. So that's basically if you want to put 2/3. Okay. And I just kind of go by the way it looks in the pan personally. 2, 3, 4. That looks like it may be about 2/3 or 3/4 of a cup. So I'm going to mix that together and see if it looks right to me. You know, and you may not want yours as sweet, or you may want it a little sweeter. You just use a tad bit more sugar. Okay. Then next, and I know lots of times people say you have to, you know, put a little bit, you have to temper the egg and then put it in. I don't do that, and it always works fine for me. So I'm going to crack an egg in here. And I have some milk. I put this measuring cup she has here. She had this or a huge one. It holds about just a moment. It holds about 2 cups of milk. And so I'm going to put some in there first, and we're going to see how much milk we use all together. Okay. Let me see. That's almost 1/2 a cup. I need a fork. Hold on just a moment. Okay. I'm going to beat my egg in there. You have to beat it up really, really, really good. In fact, it's a real good idea to beat it first. And normally I do that, but I just not think to do that today. And if you want it to be more yellow, you can use just the yellow egg yolk and not the white part. And I think I'm gonna add another egg. No, I'm not, because I'm not doing double what I normally do. Usually I do double or triple. Never mind, I'm not going to do that. Just one egg. And something I do too is I use, you know, especially if I'm going to take my banana pudding to church or somewhere else, I will use yellow food coloring, a few drops to make it look yellow. Because, you know, some people, they eat with their eyes for sure, and they may not like the kind of white or gray that it makes. Okay, that looks about good. So I'm going to put that in there. I have a little bit more there. Now, I'm going to add some more milk. Add a little bit. Then I'm going to kind of whisk it around. Get all of those corners real good. Sometimes use a spoon to make sure you're getting out those corners. And I'm sorry, that's probably loud on your ears, isn't it? Now I'm going to kind of whisk that up real good to break up some of that flour. And if you have flour that looks pretty knotty, sometimes flour can be knotty, then just run it through a sifter. Oh, there's my handsome son-in-law just walked through. Okay. Want to add some more. I'm going to keep whisking. Make sure you get that flour all broke up before you turn on the fire. And I'm wanting to do this pan about halfway, I'm thinking. So I'm going to go add the rest of this. Now, then I may make even go more. And what you have to do is just, you know, you see the thickness you want. It's kind of like making gravy. I'm going to put a couple more cups. So now so far we have used 2 cups of milk. And I'll have to go back and watch the video because I don't remember how much flour and sugar I said it was about. Okay, I'm going to move that sugar there, and I will taste it at one point to see if I need more sugar. Okay, I'm going to put this on about medium high heat, something like that. This gas stove, I have it on a 5 right now. I'm not used to cooking with this. I used to cook with gas all the time. But the house that we bought in 1997, it did not have a gas stove, and there was not a way to hook a gas stove into it. The outside, you couldn't cut a hole through the wall or anything because it was underground. But if my stove ever does go out, since we had to rebuild, then I am definitely going to get gas. Because if you have an emergency, it's good to have a gas stove. So, cooking on wood stoves, one thing, but I'd much rather do it on gas. And I'm just going to keep stirring until it thickens up. So I will bring you back. And what I'll do is when it starts to look too thick, but it hasn't came to like a slow boil yet, then I will probably add more milk, and I'm sure I'm going to add more. I'll be starting that as soon as it starts thickening. Just a moment. What? You know what? Go ask Aunt Savannah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and add some more till I get about where I'm thinking I'm wanting it in my pan. And that's kind of, I guess, the way I measure. I just look where I want something in the pan, and that lets me know if I'm going to need more or something. But, you know, when you've been cooking as long as I have, and I'm sure some of you have been cooking long too, you just can kind of guess it. Okay, so I'll bring you back when this gets to where I, getting close to where I want it. Okay, something I forgot to mention is I'm also going to put in about a pinch of salt and some butter. Let me see. That's probably about a tablespoon and a half. Let's go ahead and make it about 2 tablespoons. Okay. All right, I'll bring you back again later. All right, I added some more milk, and let me see, almost the rest of it. There's just a smidgen left in this 2 cup. As of right now, I don't think I'm going to need it, but I'm still going to keep a check on it. What I do is when it first starts bubbling, I let it bubble a little bit, and if it seems like it's starting to get thick, I'll add more. And when it first started bubble, I also tasted it, see if I needed more sugar. It tastes fine to me. Remember, you don't want it real sweet because you will be adding bananas, which are naturally sweet. I mean, unless you just like things like coinly sweet, you know. Coin, I forget how you say that word. But anyway, unless you want them, you know, really, really sweet. So I'm going to stay here and keep stirring. You don't want it as thick as you would for pie. And the reason being, you don't want it to set up thick like you do for pie. You want it to be about the consistency of pudding. You want to cook it where it's about half of the consistency you want, because as it cools, it will, you know, thicken up. It will thicken up. So, all right, I will bring you back in a moment. If you can't see, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Can you see in there? Can you see how I beat up those eggs really, or that one egg really well? And so you're not seeing any of the egg in it. I know some people say you have to wait and do it, but you really don't if you do it the right way. All right, I'll bring you back. Okay, if you can see here, it's kind of boiling some. I've cut my heat down to about 2 or 3, and I'm just going to kind of let it hang out here. I don't know if how the lighting is with this, but I'm going to just let it hang out here and keep stirring for a little while. You see how it went up? It's going to go down some. And every so often, I'm just going to take my spoon and see where it is and where I want it. And when it gets where I want it, I will bring you back. All right, this is about at the consistency that I like. Let me show you with the spoon here. Okay. Maybe could even go a little more, but I think that's good. It hasn't really thickened up anymore. So I maybe should use just a little bit less milk, but just a smidgen. I mean, this is just about the way I normally do it. Maybe just a hair thicker. You realize too, when you put your bananas in, they're going to thicken up a little. When it cools, it's going to thicken up. You know, when I first started making banana pudding from scratch, and sometimes I would get it too thick because I was young and didn't know better, and I would get it just about right where it should be the way I was going to eat it, not realizing it needed to get, not cook it that long. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little bit of vanilla flavoring. I never get the top off this. All right. So we're going to put in probably about a teaspoon or so. That looks good. You stir that in real good. You don't put it in the beginning because it will get bitter as it cooks. So you want to wait until the end. All right, I'm going to turn this off and let it sit and cool a while. I'm not going to let it get completely cool because I will be pouring this over. So I still want it to be a pourable consistency, but I don't want it so warm that it's going to start to cook my bananas or my vanilla wafers. And I should have pulled you up here to talk to me, huh? All right. Like I said, when I was young, for years I made banana the way I would do this. I'd put, like a layer of cookies, a layer of bananas, and I would layer some pudding. And I did it that way for years and years and years, up until actually I was 37. And let me see. Well, no, I take that back. I was 38 because in 1999, my husband was ordained as a deacon at church, and my grandmother, my mother and my grandmother, they came to see my grandmother. I called her Meemaw. They came for the ordination. And so I told my grandmother we were having a meal afterwards, and to me, she always made the best banana pudding. I still haven't eaten any that compares to her. And so I told her, I said, Grandma, or Meemaw, I call her Meemaw. I said, would you make some banana pudding for the meal we're having afterwards? So she did, and I guess, as a kid or a teenager, you don't pay much attention to what your ancestors are doing because you're busy, concerned with your own thing. And so I watched her as she did it, and I realized what she did was when it cooled some, she had already layered out her bananas and her vanilla wafers. But as this had cooled some, then she just poured it all over the top. And of course, it was seeping down in those, corners because you don't pack it so tightly that it can't do that. And so that was something I really, I'd learned that from her. And I thought, all these years I've been sitting here spooning it on, and I could have been just taking this and pouring it on. So anyway, I hope y'all will come. Well, I said, I hope y'all have a good day. And that's not right, is it? Because I'm coming back later and show you. I'm getting really confused. I mean, these little kids, I'm not used to being around kids all the time. So it's like my train of thought keeps leaving the station. I love them all to death. But when you're not used to the bickering or the tattling or just the screaming, because they're little kids and love to have fun. I mean, I enjoy them so much. But, I'm not used to hearing that noise all the time. And so sometimes it makes it a little hard to concentrate. I'm used to maybe hearing one or two, but it's not often that we have more than one or two families together, only 2 or 3 times a year. But anyway, so I'm going to bring you back and I will show you how I put it all together, okay? See you in a little while. Okay, I'm back. I started on this and the layering of the bananas and cookies. I forgot to turn it on, so I'm back and I'll show you. The sun is really shining here. Let me tell you what, let me move you around. If you think you're going to get dizzy, close your eyes and I will go to the other side of the table. I don't want to break this child's stool. I mean, I think it's the cutest stool. My daughter got these, she said, from IKEA. She took a trip and picked those up at IKEA there, and they are just so darling. Guess I need to move my knife and everything over here. All right. Well, I have to get a pen. I didn't move the bananas. Now, some of my bananas are about the way I like them. They're too green. The bananas will be rubbery. If they're way too dark, then you'll make the pudding runny. Let me straighten these back out because when I move, they kind of move too. So you can see here how they're not packed in there tightly. There's some space so the pudding can get down in there. Maybe a little bit tighter in some of the corners. They all shifted to the right, I think. And some of these I need just like a half cookie, and well, they don't break in half real good. I normally make this in like this huge Tupperware bowl that I have. I wish I could remember what the name of that bowl is, but y'all seen them. They're huge and they're round and they're green or they're yellow, or there's some that come up like this and they're white with a different sorry, they're white with a different color. You have to buy different colored lids, and so that's what I normally make it in, and make a lot more. I have 5 children, and when we are all together, I need a lot. Okay, I'm kind of taking some of these strings off the banana. And then I'm just going to cut some layers about like that thick. Can you see that? I'm not cut layers, I'm cut rounds. And this too doesn't have to be precise. In fact, if you just want to just put it in a bowl and just cut it all up, you're in a hurry, and then just start round with a spoon and put the pudding on, that's fine too. I mean, there's not an exact science to it. Sometimes people are afraid to cook because they think there's such an exact science, and it just really isn't. And I'm just going to lay my bananas on top of my cookies here. Well, so some of my I told you what kind of bananas I like. Some of my bananas today are just right, and some of them were a little green because I had to go out and get more since the children decided they wanted to eat the bananas last night, and that's okay. I love to see them eat. And so the ones I went and got today were, they weren't quite as ripe as I want them. And so I kind of laid them out in the sun. It was sunny here today. And so I kind of did that. But I did tell the grandchildren, do not touch the bananas. And I set them on the window ledge outside, and it's brick, and my daughter, she did not know I had done that, and later she figured I had when she saw them there, and she said something to the kids, y'all better not touch these. And her one little boy, he is, let me see, he was 2, he'll be 3 in November, and he said hot. And she said, sure, it's hot. You know, anything to keep him from touching it. Okay, I must have did something different. Looks like I may need a few more cookies to fill in the gap here. No, I just maybe need one. Oh, there it is. All right. So get these all down, and it's not going to sit perfectly straight because I'm not that real good. I know my one daughter and I were talking one day about how we can never be chefs because we just do not have precise knife cuts. I do not have good depth perception at all, so even when cutting things like that, it's hard to judge. Okay. More bananas there. I'm going to go with one of the other ones first. See which one looks the worst for wear. Okay, they look about the same. I remember at the end of this, and maybe even the chicken and dumplings, I'm going to include a cute video. We were sitting outside a while ago. Some of the little ones, they were singing Jesus Loves Me. And it was so cute. And I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to tell them to sing it again, and I want you to record it this time. I didn't have my phone on me, or I would have hit record to begin with. So she was trying to sneak in and record it. And because if the kids see you recording, they'll shut up, you know. They won't keep singing.
Tell Mommy bye and tell Amber and Amy the kids goodbye.
My daughter has church tonight, so they're on their way now. They're getting ready to leave there. Bye, honey. I love you. You have a good time. Okay, now I'm going to do another layer of cookies. So since you see how I did it, so you don't have to sit through me doing a whole nother layer, I'm going to go ahead and pause you. Okay, I'm completely done with the banana pudding, so I'm going to turn around and show you what it looks like. So hold on just a moment. Okay, can you see that? All right. I crumbled up some cookies on top of it. And right now, the one daughter's gone to church. The one who's in from out of town, she has gone to visit a friend that lives in this area. And my other daughter lives in this area. She wasn't over today. Her children are a little older, and I'm sure she's at church right now too. So y'all try this, enjoy it, and I am going to try to link the video of the kids singing. I may be able to get it, and I may not. So we will see. My daughter recorded it, so I don't know if I can get it transferred over to this or not. Okay, thank you. Y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye. Yeah, Arlo.